The Jazz just got destroyed. Well, they didn't just. I was late tonight, but the live stream's starting now. They get destroyed by the Dallas Mavericks. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks, before we get into this. Prize Picks. If you go to prizepicks.com, you can use promo code HoopsNerd. They will match up to $100. You put down $5, you get $5. It's free money, and it's all on me. It's all on the Hoops Nerd channel. You go there. It's a lot of fun, guys. You go bet the over on Luka Doncic in the first half. It's easy. It's fun. You go bet on their big name guys, especially when they're playing against a bad defense like the Utah Jazz. You're going to do well. It's a lot of fun. Use promo code HoopsNerd. Go sign up. I would appreciate it, guys. And it supports the channel. So let's get into this. So the Utah Jazz just got destroyed by the Dallas Mavericks. Sorry it's late, guys. On Wednesdays, I coach my boys' basketball team, and so I'm not usually able to do this until later at night. And so that's why it's late. But let's get into this first, and this might not be quite as long tonight considering the Jazz got utterly demolished, but we will, let's see, let's pop this chat out just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. But anyways, the Utah Jazz get absolutely demolished by the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic in this one had a triple-double in the first half, I believe. That was the big story. 40 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. He did not play a lot of the second half because he did not need to. So, oh, look, there we go. I don't know why the chat does not always work. Joshua Hansen, the Danish Destroyer, is here. Of all the nights to be here, Joshua, he chose this, so I appreciate it a lot. My boy, Dante Exum, man, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 points, near triple-double. I'm just going to call it near triple-double for Dante Exum against the Utah Jazz. They demolished Utah in every single way. Kyrie Irving, it wasn't clear he was going to play, but tonight he absolutely did. 26 points, 4 assists, 3 steals. He shot the lights out as well. I mean, one thing for this Jazz team is they are not a good defensive team. They just aren't. Utah isn't. Until they start getting more defensive players on the floor, have more cohesion as a unit and things like that, more experience, talent, all of it, they're going to be a bad defensive team. And teams like the Dallas Mavericks, who are an offensive just juggernaut when they want to be, are going to dominate Utah. And when you have Luka and Kyrie and they're playing like this, and they seem to be kind of learning some cohesion together, it's a bad recipe for the Utah Jazz. So not great, but that's pretty much everything on the Mavericks. We don't really talk about opposing teams quite as much anymore because we're a Utah Jazz channel. But I did want to mention that the Jazz defense is just bad. And when you go up against a really good offensive team like the Dallas Mavericks, who have someone like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, it's going to be tough to stop them when it's going to be tough to beat them when you have this bad of a defense. So let's see. Alexander Tufts, midnight after a 15-point blowout. Only real ones here right now. That is 100% true. If you are on the live stream tonight, you are the epitome of Jazz fans. By the way, I saw a meme that was really funny. It was like, I don't know if it was a meme. It was just a tweet, but someone mentioned that it was a question. It was, do you have, when someone mentions a hobby and they find out from you, it's actually a deathly obsession or something like that. And that describes the Jazz for me. Like some people like the Jazz. If you're in the channel, you don't like the Jazz. You probably have some sort of screw loose in your head to be here talking about this now. And that's what makes you part of the Hoops Nerd channel. That's what makes you all great. Honestly, we're all great at something, and it is loving this basketball team that sometimes forces us into certain situations that maybe we're not excited about, certain painful outcomes that leave you kind of broken as a person. But you know what? You're here, and I appreciate it. All right, should we dive into this a little bit? I had some ideas for maybe how I wanted to do something different tonight. As far as, well, let's just do what we normally do. Let's go through it, and then I might try to do a little bit of a ranking thing tonight. Simone Fontecchio. he has been pretty darn nice for this Jazz team, and I think him and a lot of these other starting unit guys have kind of come down to earth a little bit. Fontecchio has shown that he is absolutely an NBA player. I think, is he a bench player for a championship team, or is he more of an end of the bench guy for a championship team? Probably somewhere in that range. He has started for this Jazz team in some wins, and so you got to give him credit, and he does play pretty well. Defensively, I actually think he's honestly pretty decent compared to some of the other defense we've seen with this Jazz team. But tonight, and I think last game too, you've kind of seen him come back to earth a little bit, and I think he'll be a lot better fit coming off the bench. We got a guy named James. James, welcome to Rookie. You know what? You got a good name there, son or sir. I don't know, but you're amazing for joining the channel. I appreciate it. Welcome, James, to the channel. Oh, everyone, welcome James to the channel. Welcome to Rookie. A rookie with promise, baby. Anyways, it's just you're sick in the head for the Jazz. Well, that's why you're here. We're all sick in the head for the Jazz. But that's why we're here. And I wouldn't have it any other way. John Collins, is that enough thoughts on Simone Fontecchio? I don't really have a lot else to say. I think he's shown that he can be a nice rotation player. I think we're seeing a little bit of a ceiling of what he can be, but that ceiling's a little better than we thought. He can knock down threes. We know he can do that. But what we do see is that he can move the ball, and he defends pretty well. Now, it's not elite level, especially tonight, but it's enough that you're happy to have him on the team, and I think I'd be happy with Fontecchio on this Jazz team for a long time. John Collins is a mixed bag, man. I just don't know if he's that great of a defensive player. There are some defensive metrics out there that are interesting. John Collins has a surprisingly pretty good, if you go to Cleaning the Glass, which is a fun website to go kind of look at more in depth, and I like Cleaning the Glass because it only takes stats that don't include garbage time or like full court heaves and things like that. So it's kind of like more pure stats. And John Collins comes out pretty good as a rim protector, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if outside of that, he's that great of a defender, I don't know if I see enough from him in some of these things that makes me think he is kind of a core piece for the future. I do think he's nice to have for now as you develop Taylor Hendricks, although we're going to talk about that. But I don't know if he's a player where if you don't have a superstar next to him, like John Collins with Luka Doncic would be awesome, or at least fit in well with that team, with what Luka Doncic does. We have seen John Collins come to this Jazz team and do a little more than he was in Atlanta, just kind of sitting in the corner with Trae Young. But some of those things haven't been all that good. We saw a lot of offense going through John Collins this game, and to be honest, this season, it hasn't been that great. You see a lot of turnovers. Honestly, tonight, how many turnovers? He has 2 turnovers, and the ball's going through him. That's kind of a given with him. And considering that he doesn't assist the ball, this is pretty tough. You want this ball in your playmaker's hands. Sorry, it's late. 2 turnovers, no assists. He really is kind of a finishing player. And there are situations where I do think he's pretty nice. I was talking on Twitter about his mid-range jump shot, which apparently some people get offended if you insinuate that sometimes that can be a good thing. I do like that ability of him to get the ball in the post and score. It's nice to have, especially if you have a mismatch. If your offense is working to create a mismatch and then you get that down low, John Collins is a guy that can take advantage, and that's a nice thing to see. The thing that I'm not the biggest fan of is him kind of initiating from the top of the three-point line. It's not been great. Free throw line extended, not really great. So, catch and shoot three-point shot, awesome. In the post, when you need it, on a mismatch, usually looks like you get a pretty decent shot out of it. Things like that I like. The initiating offense has not been that great. It's been a lot of turnovers. It's clunky. It doesn't seem to work very well. That's kind of what I think. And I think there's some situations where John Collins is pretty nice. I do think that he does rebound the ball well. And that's been one thing that has, helped this Jazz team. But Utah, and let's refresh this. The rebounding for Utah on offense and defense, I don't know. I don't know if it's really having that much of an effect that it's helping Utah. Utah actually is improving on their defensive rating. They're now number 25. So, hey, improvement is improvement. But all of a sudden, Utah is the number 26 offense in the NBA and the number 25 defense. Man. And after tonight, it's not going to get better. So we're looking at a bottom 25 team right now, which kind of means we probably need to start doing some draft prep. But you know what? The more I look at this draft, the more there are a few guys that I'm actually not too sad about if the Jazz pick them. Watch the Jazz win the lottery this time. The draft where there isn't a number one bona fide superstar is the one the Jazz would win, right? That would be the most Jazz thing ever, for them to win this lottery on one of the most unheralded drafts in a long time. Now, there's some players in this draft that are fun, but that would be just the most Jazz thing ever. But anyways, that's my thoughts on John Collins. I don't know if he can handle it a little bit. You can give him the ball, and he can kind of initiate a tiny bit, dribble handoffs. He can drive to the basket, straight line drives, things like that. But it's not been super great, I'll be honest. In some ways it's been really good. His 3-point shot has been falling. What is his 3-point shot? That has been one thing that has improved a lot. 39%. So he's having a near career year shooting the ball from three. So that is really nice to see. But some of the things they've been trying to do haven't really worked out. And they've kind of had to be honest. When you consider what they were getting from Jordan Clarkson, from Taylor Horton Tucker, from Colin Sexton with that starting unit, it was so bad. And so, you bring in Keyonte George with Ochai Agbaji, who hasn't been the most prolific creator himself, and it's been pretty rough. And so you do need a little bit of creation somewhere. We've actually seen multiple games this season where they're preventing Keyonte from even getting the ball, and that's tough, because if you don't have someone else that can create in that situation, it gets pretty hairy pretty fast. Omer Yurtseven, I told this story last time. I love Omer. I love the name, obviously, and he had a big time end to the last Jazz win that they had. But I think tonight is similar to the Simone Fontecchio situation, where he kind of came down to earth. But I'll be honest, Walker Kessler wasn't all that great in this game either. He, got that big time dunk on him. But you know what? Sometimes the eyeball test doesn't match. It just felt like he's not impacting games like he was last season. I don't know what it is. But honestly, it makes me a little sad, because he looked so promising last year and looked like kind of a cornerstone piece for this Jazz team. And I don't feel like tonight, even with Yurtseven, getting smashed by Luka just like everyone else did, I don't feel like Walker Kessler proved himself to be the absolute, he must be the starter like he did last year. Last year, Walker Kessler came in and just kind of demanded starter minutes. This year, not so much, and we just need to see more consistency from Walker Kessler. I'd like to see him dominate games like he was last year with offensive rebounding and things like that. So I don't know what it is, but Omer Yurtseven, he's going to be starting. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we do see a change. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know if the difference between Omer and Walker is all that different right now. Until Walker Kessler starts kind of looking like his old self, I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, for whatever reason, I think Will Hardy likes Omer in this starting lineup, and maybe it's just simply to get Walker Kessler back into game shape and get 100% healthy. Who knows? But he played more minutes than Omer, so that's the other interesting thing, is Kessler is getting more minutes than Yurtseven, but Yurtseven is starting, so I don't know. Ochai Agbaji had his best game of the season, at least offensively. Defensively, no. But offensively, he was hitting shots, and 5 for 10 from 3. And guess what? This was above the break threes. He was knocking them down. So if you want some silver linings tonight, that was one of them, because that's the thing that's been driving me crazy, is the inability to hit above the break threes over just the corner three. We know that Ochai is a great corner 3-point shooter. He is a awesome corner 3-point shooter. But above the break three has not been. But tonight, he was. So maybe this is foretelling of things to come. And it's interesting. We talk about Keyonte George and him having the ball. He had 11 assists tonight. Keyonte George, by the way. I did not realize it was that many. But we don't see a lot of stats outside of there from Ochai. So it would be nice to see some rebounds there. Just something, especially when you're playing off Keyonte. You're playing the shooting guard role. Keyonte needs him to do a little bit, although sometimes Ochai just plays within the offense. There's sometimes a little bit of feel there that I don't know if he quite has. He is kind of a 3-and-D small forward is kind of what I think he is. Not a super uh not a not kind of a play initiating pick and roll guard, but he is kind of a catch and shoot 3-point wing. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what he is, but it's tough to fit everyone in this puzzle when you've got so many different guys and a lot of them are just good in some ways and not good in others, and you're just trying to find this like mix of something. This soup the Jazz have is good at times, and sometimes you're not quite sure what you're eating because you don't know if these ingredients really work together. We got strawberries in our stew sometimes, and I don't know if that's good, so it's just kind of a mix. And I think Ochai Agbaji fits with most types of lineups, and that's why I think he's starting, because he plays defense, he rebounds, and he shoots threes, although sometimes the defense could stand to be better. Sometimes the defense looks all world. And so it's one of these things with this Jazz team is just consistency. Even just looking at the record, like they get absolutely destroyed tonight. And then you have other nights where they beat the New Orleans Pelicans 2 games in a row. And you have people that think the Pelicans are on the verge of becoming something really special. And so you're just like, what is this Jazz team? What are you? But look at this. This is this consistency thing. You've got wins against the Pelicans, losses against the Grizzlies, a loss against the Wolves, which is more understandable, and then you beat, obviously, the Blazers, who played pretty well, to be honest. It's just such a mixed bag with this Jazz team. Dirty Jazz, Car Wash Channel, need Lowry back. That is also true. I mean, the Jazz are playing without their best player right now, and it's tough to win. But a lot of teams miss out on their best players, and they have to find a way to win as well. Speaking of the Pelicans, who've been out without, although they got him back, CJ McCollum for like most of the season. So anyways, Keyonte George tonight, the ball, he just was not feeling the shot tonight at all. You can see by his percentages. By the end of the game, you could tell he just was not interested in shooting it, which in some ways is pretty good because you would rather him not shoot the ball if it's not working. James, you're right. Our home court does help a lot. That is a good point. The Jazz play better at home. They just do. But you know what? 11 assists to 5 turnovers in a game that was absolutely out of hand by halftime for sure. But anyways, Keyonte George just scores 7 points, but you got to love the 11 assists. The guy can absolutely pass the ball. And even on a night where he did not want to shoot the ball, the shot was not falling. He was obviously not feeling his shot. He gets 11 assists and 4 rebounds. Pretty darn cool. Yes, it would be nice if Sexton was sometimes not interested in shooting it. Yes. He is one of those players that he is very interested in shooting the ball no matter the situation. We mentioned Walker Kessler a little bit. I mean, you look at the numbers here. They're just a little underwhelming. 6 points, 8 rebounds. It didn't look good. I mean, he got that bad dunk on him, but, there's just plays where there's like some juice missing, and I don't know if he lost his mojo a little bit with Steve Kerr, if he is still feeling the effects of that elbow, if he's a little out of game shape, if he's exhausted from a full season last year, then USA basketball, then straight into training camp in the Jazz, and maybe he's just dealing with some exhaustion. I don't know. But he has not looked like the player from last year. He has not. 3rd place in Rookie of the Year voting. He got 1 first place vote, which he should not have gotten. But he hasn't looked like the same player. So you mentioned Colin Sexton. He did only shoot the ball 4 times, but, and I guess to Colin Sexton's credit, he does also do a similar thing to Keyonte. 5 assists. 3 rebounds, and he was only a -3 in a game the Jazz lost by 50. So I guess we got to give Colin Sexton some props. But he was in. I don't know what to say. This is where plus minus sometimes I think is a liar, because this is obviously when Luka Doncic is not on the floor. Although I guess he did have that moment where he was, when Chris Dunn was in Luka Doncic's space, and I don't know. But Colin Sexton, can I just be honest? I don't love watching Colin Sexton play basketball. I like the guy. I like the mentality. I love the fire that he brings and all those different things. I just don't love his style of basketball. I don't. It's okay. He's a fun player in that I love his. Colin Sexton kind of plays basketball. I think a lot of us would play basketball with just like super fire and intensity, but he doesn't have good vision. He gets 5 assists, so we got to give him some credit. There is some vision there, but his mentality is score first, go hard, score first, dive into the fire, and it's just not always very good. Tonight 0 for 4, 0 for 1. He hesitated on 1 3, that I was just like, shoot the ball, Colin. He hesitates, and then of course it goes 0 for 1. I don't know. I think his role is sixth man if you're looking at a team, like if you have a championship team, what would Colin Sexton be on that team? And at best, I think it's a 15-minute a night sixth man who really understands his role, plays within it, and but I don't know if he's even that caliber, to be honest. Maybe there's a team that can find a way to fit him into what they do, but oh my gosh, it sometimes for me is hard to watch. I'll be honest, like I understand the Taylor Horton Tucker thing. I know I'm probably in the minority on this, and I'm fine with that. I understand Taylor Horton Tucker more than Colin Sexton playing, just because I can see what he does defensively with his length, his size. I feel like he's a little bit more cognizant of who's open on offense. Although Taylor Horton Tucker is not fun to watch either. So, which would you prefer, stepping in dog pee on the carpet with your socks on, or dog vomit with your socks on the carpet? That's your choice, and that's what it is. It's just kind of tough. But anyways, let's see. We did see Chris Dunn tonight, and I actually felt like, he's a -3 in a game the Jazz lost by 50, and I actually felt like, and this is why Luka kind of chopped him in. I mean, it was like a weak thing, but Luka did push him in the back. You could see it. It was very much, he pushed him in the back. It was a small thing. It was nothing, but Chris Dunn did not like it, and I could understand why, because Luka constantly has that like that guy, he's got that red face, and he laughs at everything, and he thinks everyone thinks it's funny too, and he acts like everyone's his best friend and thinks that he's the most funny guy. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, I understand Luka Doncic is great, and if the Jazz traded for him, I'm sure I would love him. But watching him play, he just has a personality that I find off-putting. I'll just put it that way. And I kind of like that Chris Dunn just gets in his face, and Luka Doncic, in some ways I feel like Luka's a little lucky he plays in the era right now, because I can tell you right now, he's the type of guy that would catch a Karl Malone elbow back in the day. And all of you Jazz fans who were there and know what I'm talking about. And he's lucky he doesn't live in that era and he's in this one, because there's guys like Luka who would catch a stray elbow from the Karl Malones of the world, the Shaqs, the Charles Barkleys. All those guys would not appreciate some of the off-putting personality traits of Luka Doncic. That's my take on Chris Dunn. Anyways, Taylor Hendricks was awesome tonight. Taylor Hendricks was awesome. 4 for 6. He plays 24 minutes, and it felt like he needed to play more. He shoots 2 for 4 from 3. I'm telling you right now, he is one of those shooters. I mean, you watch a lot of the guys play, and you watch someone like Taylor Horton Tucker, and you have no idea if that ball's going in half the time. I mean, he's a 33% three-point shooter, so you don't know if it's going in a third of the time, or whatever the math is there. I don't know what I'm saying. But you watch Taylor Hendricks shoot, and if he's wide open, I feel like it's going in every time from that three-point line. It's crazy. I think he is going to be a special shooter, just a spot-up three-point shooter. But that's not even his best trait. Guys, the Jazz have something special in Taylor Hendricks. I am so excited. I am honestly, after tonight, I mean, I had like 3 or 4 times where I got, I didn't get to see this game live. I was with my boys' basketball team. By the way, we're doing like a fundraiser. I might share it if anyone's interested. But if you want to go, anyways, I might share that in the community. But anyways, I watched this afterwards, knowing the Jazz got blown out, knowing it was bad. So I got to just kind of watch the things I was interested in, and one of those was Taylor Hendricks. And the Jazz have something special. He is awesome. He is not, the difference between superstars and players like Taylor Hendricks are if you are a on-ball player. That's what makes Luka Doncic special. When he has the ball in his hands, he is an offense unto himself. Like the Harden quote where Harden's like, "I'm not a system player, I am the system." Well, that the funny thing about that is like James Harden is not very good now, but he's good, but he's not what he was. Luka Doncic is a system. And with the ball in his hands, it truly just turns you into a top 10 offense just by putting the ball in Luka Doncic's hands. That's why Taylor Hendricks is not going to be like a superstar, because he's just not that type of player. He's not a ball in his hands, go run a pick and roll and score. He is a off-ball player, but man, he might be defensive player of the year caliber defensively. Holy smokes. This guy gets his hands on everything, and he has length, athleticism. He's showing instincts. One of the things that got me worried was in preseason and the early parts of the season where he looked lost. Like he looked lost. And what I think has happened is he played in the G League, and I do think that just got him his sea legs. He was just absolutely off balance on the boat. You're out at sea, and and Taylor Hendricks to start the season, especially in preseason, looked like he was losing his lunch over the side of the boat. Well, Taylor Hendricks got some time in the G League. He got his sea legs. He looks like he gets it. He looks more comfortable. And the thing that you can tell that he's a little more comfortable is you're seeing instinct plays, because now he knows where he's supposed to be defensively. I saw a few miscues, a switch with Walker Kessler where I think Hendricks probably was supposed to stay up top and Kessler drop, and there's going to be miscues. He's still going to have to have things like that he's going to have to learn, and mistakes he's got to clean up. But I tell you what, this guy, I mean, he is like, the way Bam Adebayo is so awesome on the switch and just can absolutely engulf guys on the perimeter and then also protect the rim on the other end. Taylor Hendricks is the same way. Like special defensive ability. He can guard 1 through 4 and on a lot of times 1 through 5. He can absolutely dominate on ball defense on the perimeter. That's what's exciting. And he's like 6'10" with really long arms. He has a knack for blocking shots, and so he has a chance to be so special, guys. The fact that he's such a weapon offensively, too, where he can shoot the three, and we're even seeing him kind of drive to the basket a little bit, have the ball in his hands a little bit. You don't need Taylor Hendricks to be Luka Doncic. Absolutely not. Never say never that he can't develop, because that's something I want to mention, too. But I tell you what, he can put the ball on the floor. And I actually saw him make a really smart pass where he kind of found the second option on the offensive play where he's, not passing it to the guy next to him, but he found the open guy on the far end on the corner 3. Really nice. And so I think we're starting to see the instinct come out, because I think Hendricks is feeling a little more comfortable and kind of figuring it out. And I honestly think Hendricks is starting to feel like, hey, I'm a dude. I'm a guy that belongs on the floor. And he's feeling, you can just see the confidence is growing. So I think the G League start, a lot of people were really worried, like, oh my gosh, he's the number 9 pick and he's in the G League. And it's hard not to feel that. It's hard, I felt that. If you didn't feel that a little bit, you're lying. It's not fun to have your number 9 pick go to the G League. It's not fun to say. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to happen. But I think that actually did have an absolute effect on Taylor Hendricks in a positive way, just because he's just acclimated. It's just reps. I mean, honestly, it's 18 months ago he's in high school. That's what's crazy, right? So now he's got those reps. Now he's making instinct plays, and it's only up from here. And I mentioned the trajectory. He might be a trajectory player, and I'm so excited. I personally, you want these guys that you can see on a trajectory. And we saw that with him already. And what I mean by trajectory is he on like an exponential, curve, because we see him go from high school to UCF. No one really knows who he is. He doesn't, I mean, I don't know his full history. I'll have to look it up. I mean, if he was getting offers from Kentucky and UConn and Duke, then I must be wrong. I don't think he did. And that's probably why he's at UCF, but he goes to UCF, and maybe he did. Maybe he chooses UCF to get more reps, but he kind of just explodes at UCF, shows he's all these different things, knocks the three-point shot down at an elite level, and now he's doing those same things at the NBA level. If you're doing the things you were doing in college and you're starting to show them here in the NBA and you're comfortable doing it, that's pretty exciting. And then that means, if he's like improving at an exponential level and he can continue to do that in the NBA, that's when you have guys start to really turn into something really special. Can he get a little more handle? Can he kind of do some things in the post? Oh my gosh, Joshua Hansen for the fundraiser, my man. Awesome. You're freaking awesome. I will definitely thank you for that. I'm going to put that over to the fundraiser. What that's going to do for my boys team is it's going to just help with comp basketball. So all the other kids on the team, they're just doing a fundraiser to help all the different kids on the comp team because comp basketball is expensive. So anyways, thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that a ton. I will send that over. That's awesome. Let's see. So does that make sense, though, with Taylor Hendricks? The exponential rise, I think, is a potential possibility. Now, what the end product of Taylor Hendricks is, who knows? If what he is right now, where he just gets more comfortable and he does all this stuff and he's just an off-ball player that shoots 40% from three and is a game changer on defense, then that's amazing. And you've got to be really happy about it, that if you're the Jazz. If he can develop more, can he kind of create like we saw tonight, he gets the offensive rebound and that nice putback. He's shown some nice touch around the rim. I mean, can he do a lot of the things that John Collins is doing and just do them a little more efficiently? Like, can he get that hook shot? Can he get like an isolation, pull up jumper in the mid-range when everything is falling apart? I said mid-range jumper. Don't lose your minds. But I'm just saying, like, can he develop some of those things in his game? I don't know. Why not? It's going to be fun to watch, but if he can do that and we can watch him get reps and do some of those things, that's going to be freaking awesome. So really, really cool. I'm excited about it. I think that Taylor Hendricks is showing that the Jazz might have hit on both picks. The one thing we got to watch with Keyonte George and that he's dealing with right now is the shooting. It's tough. He is the focal point of the Jazz offense right now, and teams are going at him. They are trying to prevent him. They are doing everything to slow him down, and that's going to be tough. And so he's got a lot of figuring it out to do. I think the next level for Keyonte is the same thing that Donovan had to improve on, was the pull-up three, especially in the pick and roll, and I think Keyonte will figure that out as well. At least I hope so, because if he does, then the offensive upside for Keyonte George is crazy. It's absolutely massive. If he can become efficient in that pull-up three in the pick and roll, then look out, because when you combine that with the 11 assist potential type passing, my gosh, you've got yourself a special point guard. And then if you have Taylor Hendricks, and by the way, I'll probably end with this. We've already gone 33 minutes on a game the Jazz lost by 50. But Taylor Hendricks, I mean, if you go read it, it was in the Trib. I linked to it in the SLC dunk. I just named it Keyonte George is excited about Taylor Hendricks, and you should be too. And you can link to the article and see the quotes, but Keyonte George is excited about what Taylor Hendricks brings. And it's fun to think about those two playing together for a long time. Oh, let's end on what I wanted to, and then we'll do the lottery, and then we'll say goodnight. But I think there's not that many guys on this team that I would say are untouchable, except, here's what I would say. Let's just go through it. And let's start with Lauri Markkanen. Do I think Lauri Markkanen is completely untouchable? No, I do not. Now, can the Jazz somehow fit Lauri Markkanen into their model where they're also going for Cooper Flagg in 2 years? Because guess what? This Jazz team still needs a superstar. Maybe Keyonte George becomes that, but you need two superstars to win a title. They need another one. Maybe Taylor Hendricks is that, but to get that, the Jazz are going to have to draft them, and Cooper Flagg would absolutely be that guy. Could you imagine if the Jazz got Cooper Flagg? Oh my gosh, he'd be a more fun player. I don't know. He's gonna be so freaking good, guys. I mean, he's gonna be an absolute monster, and man, it would be so cool to see him in a Jazz uniform playing next to. Could you imagine Cooper Flagg and the defense he's gonna bring and the offense? And you put him next to Hendricks. Oh my gosh, dude. I cannot even, I'm not even going to let myself, I'm going to let myself because it's there. But the thing is I don't think Markkanen is untouchable because I don't think Lauri Markkanen is that superstar guy. Now, is he an all-star and really awesome? Yes. So if someone comes knocking and wants Lauri Markkanen, well, then it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. And definitely picks and definitely a young prospect of some sort. Tell you what, though, Minnesota looking really awesome really helps the Jazz with their trades because other people are like, well, guess what? Maybe the Minnesota Timberwolves did win the trade. Let's trade for great first-round picks plus 2 swaps and a young player for Lauri Markkanen, to a team that wants to get over the hump. And maybe Utah does that. I don't think they're untouchable. Untouchable, John Collins, definitely not. He is gettable. If you want John Collins, he is on the shelf for purchase. Omer Yurtseven, is he untouchable? Definitely not. We got him in free agency. He is also available if you would like to trade for him. Ochai Agbaji, I don't think this is a tough one because if someone really wants Ochai Agbaji, they're going to have to give at least a nice first. At least, but I think you could probably get Ochai Agbaji if you wanted him. Keyonte George is not for sale. He is not for sale. Not at all. He is in a case. So if you go to the gaming shop, I went there the other day and my favorite gaming shop is actually Game Changers. It's in Salt Lake. It's over on like State and like 33rd or no, it's like State and it might be 33rd or 2017. I can't remember. But anyways, Game Changers, really fun shop. And they had an unopened, pristine Super Mario Brothers 3 in the case. That's what Keyonte George is. That's not for sale. Some kid just brought that in too. They were like, you want to exchange this? We don't even know what the value of this is. That's the type of thing you... But anyways, Keyonte George is that. He is in the plastic case. And he is for display, but he is not for sale. He is that good. He is that awesome. I think Walker Kessler could be had. If someone really wants a young center that is a rotation caliber, starting caliber center who will protect the rim, he's smart. I think he could be had. But it's going to take something. The Jazz aren't just giving him up. So this is going to be, he's kind of on that level of Lauri Markkanen, where it's like, if you want him, you're going to have to give something for him. But he could be had if you really want him. If some teams out there are like, oh my gosh, we need Walker Kessler, then, they could probably get him. Colin Sexton, you could have him. He is sitting out on the front lawn and someone just taped a sign that says free, like the furniture out there, the washer and dryer that, needs a new belt or something. He's out there. You could have him if you want him. Same goes with Taylor Horton Tucker. It's out there. If someone wants to come pick him up at night, he's there. Taylor Hendricks, not available. Not available at all. Especially after what we've seen. Oh my gosh, is he awesome. I'm telling you guys, I've seen enough that the Jazz have a starting caliber, first team all defense potential player that also shoots 40+% from 3. I mean, he might have a crazy 3-point season. The way he shoots that ball, there might be and because he's like a pretty much exclusively catch and shoot 3-point shooter, there might be a crazy 3-point season in the works for him. Like, can he shoot like 46% from 3? I think so. And that's what's crazy with his skill set. Because I don't think that's out of the question, considering he's a catch and shoot 3. He's not doing, pull-up threes like Keontae's doing. He's doing catch and shoot, And by the way, being set up by an elite level point guard down the road in Keyonte George. So Pretty fun to think about. Bomb for Boozer, capture the flag. Absolutely. By the way, Cam Boozer is the other one. He's the draft after Cooper Flag. And here's the thing. Now, here's the timeline. And by the way, if you haven't seen Loki, go watch it. It's the best freaking show out there in the last 3 or 4 months in terms of scripted television. It's freaking awesome. Let's talk timelines. There is a timeline where the Jazz get a number 1 pick from the Cleveland Cavaliers because Donovan's going to New York or Miami. He's leaving. Sorry, that's happening. Anyone who disagrees, you're incorrect. Okay? He's not re-signing in Cleveland. He might get traded to somewhere, but he's not staying in Cleveland. Okay? He's not. He asked for... There were things that happened with the Jazz. All I can just say, I don't know. He didn't want to play for the Jazz anymore. Okay. So anyone who was like, oh, we got to keep Donovan Mitchell, that wasn't happening. Okay. That was not happening. That was not happening. He was going. In fact, you know what I want to do? I want to go back and I've got to watch it. Do you remember when Donovan Mitchell re-signed and that video from his agency came out? And I don't know if a lot of people saw it. I retweeted it because it was interesting. But one of the lines from his agent that, I mean, now that I look back, it's I almost said it, DW to CB. I almost said it, and it was twice. But anyways, in one season. But anyways, where am I going with? Oh, it was the video from his agent. And the first thing, the line that I constantly think about that his agent says is, this is the first step. He said that. Now I look back and I'm like, it was a freaking plan. It was a plan the whole time. So anyways, long story short, he's not staying in Cleveland. And there's, this timeline we're talking about, this low-key timeline, Evan Mobley has not really gotten better. Darius Garland is really nice, so they'll win some games. But there's a world where they have an injury. Jared Allen has not been as good as he was, and some of that has got to be the Donovan Mitchell effect. The I'm the show, And by the way, what's their record, anyways? Let's just look, just for fun. We're late tonight. I don't care. 12:30. Cleveland's 8th. Are you kidding me? Cleveland is 8th in the East Coast, or in the Eastern Conference. And this ain't the Western Conference. Everyone who said the Western Conference was freaking brutal was right. Because look at this. And by the way, can I just pat myself on the back? I predicted Oklahoma City could possibly number 1 seed, and I was pretty dang close. But anyways, Minnesota Timberwolves, number 1 defense. Rudy looks awesome. They look fantastic. Oklahoma City is awesome. They are awesome. Denver Nuggets, they are championship caliber. Dallas Mavericks, we saw what they could do tonight. Los Angeles, LeBron still looks like LeBron. Sacramento Kings, they haven't even had De'Aaron Fox, and they're 11-8. Phoenix Suns haven't even had Bradley Beal. It's brutal. New Orleans Pelicans is the 8th seed. Good luck to the Clippers, because the Pelicans, as long as Zion stays healthy, which is a big if, are going to be good. And so Utah's, I just don't see it. I wrote about it. There's still a potential for them to get into this play-in, because I do think the Clippers suck. I think Golden State is on a downward trajectory, but Utah's already 3 games back of them and are getting brutalized by the Mavericks. I just don't know if I see it. It's tough. But anyways, this wasn't to talk about the Jazz and their record, which, by the way, they only have 1 more win than Memphis, who they lost to. But Cleveland, I mean, Atlanta, we know that Quinn Snyder is overrated, but, they might figure things out. Toronto actually has moments where they looked pretty good this year. Brooklyn is trying. Brooklyn has no reason to lose. They don't have their own picks, so they have no incentive to lose. They're going to keep trying to win. And who knows? Maybe they make a big trade with Utah. Maybe Brooklyn's someone that says, hey, would you like all of Phoenix's picks? We'll take Lauri Markkanen. I don't know. But anyways, you never know. But there's a world where Cleveland loses Donovan Mitchell. They're maxed out on Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and they're just not that good. And we get a lottery pick. And what if they win? What if it jumps? There's a world where that happens. Same thing, I know Minnesota's really good this year, and Jazz fans are feeling the pain of that, and that's fine. The Jazz have their picks for like the next millennia. So, once this season's over, they don't have Mike Conley under contract next year, and they're already maxed out. Are they going to want to max out again and just go into the repeater tax? That's going to be brutal for them. It's going to be tough. And who knows? At some point, maybe Anthony Edwards decides he wants to go somewhere else. Who knows? But there's a world where, the Jazz get Cam Boozer without their own pick, and that would be just heaven. Wouldn't that be? I mean, if they described heaven to me, it would be the Jazz getting Cooper Flagg with the Minnesota Timberwolves pick or something. That would be heaven for me. Oh my gosh. What if the Jazz got Cam Boozer and Cooper Flagg? Could you imagine? Oh my gosh. All right. Anyways, that's enough pie in the sky, right? Enough pie in the sky. Let's get back to reality. Let's do our lottery pick tonight, because guess what? The Jazz are number 7. So I hope you're all excited for that. Let's see. Let's make sure the chat's still up. Thank you again, Joshua Henson. That's super generous of you. Thank you so much. That'll help the team a ton. All right, look. Jazz are in solid 7th, and honestly, this area right here is attainable if they keep losing. Let's see what they win. Oh, Utah drops 2 spots as Atlanta and Chicago leaps them, which gives them Justin Edwards from Kentucky, 6'7", freshman. Players from Kentucky have turned out to be pretty good, so I don't know. All right, let's give a shout out to the All-Stars tonight, and welcome to James as part of the channel. Let's give a shout out to Christian House Money to Haas, Dirty Jazz Car Wash Channel, Jesse James, the Outlaw, Jesse James Nelson, Joshua Hansen, the Danish Destroyer, Ryan Perry, the Legend, Isikali Raisibe, the man from down under, Yes Jake CKN, See Ya Lexulator, Bill Ford Tough, Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga Mimigo de Abaco, Jordan the Goat Besserell, TGD Total Game Domination, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, DWCB Darren Williams, DeCarlos Boozer, Patrick Kakubo, the Connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, if you want to support the channel, just go and join. If you want a nickname and be part of the show, go and join the All-Stars. I would appreciate it. It supports everything I do. And go to PrizePicks, use promo code HoopsNerd. That would be great. Guys, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will talk to you next.